Welcome back. In this particular class, I actually want to touch on automation and scaling your Fiverr business. So we've learned lots of things around creating the gig, the SEO, how to rank within search, how to deal with orders, how to deal with new buyers and dealing with negative feedback. One of the key things is that as you start to grow on Fiverr and as your levels become higher and higher, naturally you're going to see more and more gigs. And one thing I've personally struggled with is automation and scaling. So design is a very manual task, and I have looked at outsourcing it, but I've always found that the quality is just too much of a problem. It's never as good as what I can do when I outsource to other designers. So one thing that you should consider when creating the Fiverr business is how can you automate your gig? So whether that's SEO, whether that's copywriting, or whether it's design, the way I do that from a design perspective is by creating templates and font styles and having a go-to style that is me. And this works really well because my buyers know when they're ordering my gig, they know exactly what they're getting. But it means that I can open up a Photoshop template to start with every single time. And even though every thumbnail ends up custom designed, I'm always starting from the exact same foundation, which means the same subtle border, a same subtle kind of shadow effect around the edge. And actually, I use kind of 3 or 4 layer styles amongst all of my thumbnails, and it always is unique to every single person, but to me it just speeds up rather than having to spend another 20 minutes here creating a layer style or another 30 minutes there creating a background or lighting effect, and it just kind of takes all that away, which means I can focus on the imagery, focus on the wording and making sure the layout works perfectly on the Fiverr thumbnail. And that's how I've managed to get my gig time down to about 10 minutes per gig. On a really good day with a really simple gig, I can usually create a thumbnail within 5 minutes that the buyer is more than happy with. Sometimes it's a little bit more complex and there's more to design, it takes a little bit more time, but it's definitely something you should be considering as well. If it is copywriting, for example, and let's say you are working on, say, hard-hitting headlines, there are certain ways to structure a headline, and you might already have certain layouts to go. For example, X amount of tips got me this, and then you just kind of fill in the blanks. And that's really how you start to grow the business and spend less and less time per gig working, so that you're not swamped working from 7 o'clock in the morning till 7 o'clock at night working on your gig. So bear that in mind as your profile and as your gig starts to grow. How do you automate it? How do you shorten down the time to create the final product, and how do you then start to scale off the back of that? And now in the final lesson, we're going to go into the conclusion and the summary to just recap on everything that we've learned so far in the class, and to make sure that you can start to create your own gig and then also submit that to the class project as well. I'm more than happy to give some comments and give some feedback in the class project as well. So I'll see you in the final lesson.